Good afternoon. My name is Toya Abrahams. I'm here with Faye Sonner. Today's Sunday, November the 9th, and the time is now 3:30. Could you introduce yourself, please,
Of
and tell us a
course.
little bit about yourself?
My name is Faye Simon. I am a singer-songwriter and teacher as well. And I am from London, born and raised in London, England. And my heritage is Grenadian and Jamaican. So my parents, my father's from Jamaica, my mother is from Grenada, and specifically from the island of Carriacou. And in Carriacou, we have kept all our African traditions. So we know our original, or our origins, our original countries. And we have also learnt our nation dances. So through our big drum tradition, we learn our nations, we learn our songs as well. And we've traced our heritage back to Sierra Leone and Nigeria. So our tribes are Temne, Sierra Leone, and Igbo, Nigerian. So we're very proud for our nations and in our history, and we also maintain our heritage. We have excellent records in Carriacou of everybody who was enslaved and came over on the boats, as well as the British have also done the same and kept excellent records. So in Carriacou specifically, we are descendants of Africans who were enslaved by Scotsmen and some Liverpudlian businessmen as well. So all of that information is available on the North East Scots website too. So we did a lot of our history and learning through oral traditions in our African traditions, traditional way, like as our ancestors and griots do, and then also through technology, being here and being able to go online and read everything that happened through the transatlantic slave trade.
You said your parents are from the Caribbean side.
Yeah.
Could you just tell us a little bit about how they came over and what they came for?
Sure. So my dad came over when he was 12 from Jamaica with his mum, and she came over to work. I don't know very much about her because I didn't really grow with my father, so I'm not quite sure exactly why she came over. But when they did come, he was living in Fulham and Chelsea. So he told me all about the racism that he suffered growing up there because he loved football, he supported Chelsea his whole life, and he obviously received a lot of racism growing up there and playing football himself there, just wanting to play in the parks and hang out in his own area and just support the team. That in itself was a battle every day for him. After school, he decided to join the British Army, and he was stationed in Germany, and he absolutely hated it. He hated being there. He hated the institution. He said he would never go back once he discharged when he got back to the UK. So he stayed in the UK because his family was here, his mother was here, and a lot of his aunts and his elders were here. So he never actually went back to Jamaica during his life. And that was kind of sad for me because I never got to experience connecting with the other side of my ancestry in that way. When it came to my mum was actually born here. She's first generation British born. I'm second generation British born. And her parents came to work. So just like the rest of the Windrush generation were asked to come over here to build the UK back. My grandma came and worked for the London Underground. She was on the Bakerloo line, stationed at King's Cross, and she loved her job. She absolutely loved it, and she worked her whole life on the underground. My grandfather worked for the BBC in White City, also loved his job, spent his entire career working for the BBC, was proud that he got to meet a lot of royals working there, as most of the Windrush generation are very proud when it comes to being part of the Commonwealth. But as I grew up and my mum grew up here, that pride wasn't instilled in us. We, I guess, were the rebels. We could see the disparity between us and them when it came to growing up in the UK and in London.
Do you think that because you're born here and they just came to work, that you had a little bit more rights than they did? Because the reason why I say that is because when you're from another country and you try to be a little bit on your P's and your Q's, because it might take a little while for you to adjust to their rules and regulation, and they look a bit different to you than when you're born here. You get a little bit more privilege than they do, because I wasn't born here, and my kids, they get a little bit more privilege. Doors are open more for they than for me, because we have to like be beating down the doors trying to get certain things done. But when you're born here, that the door kind of automatically opened for you.
I understand what you mean. I would disagree, and the reason why I would disagree is because of the difference in the generations. So being second generation here, I got to see through my mum the differences that she received between being born here and not. But I still think my grandparents, having been asked to come here, were more privileged than my personal generation right now. And I say that because they benefited socially more, despite the fact that they received more racism and more contempt, because of the fact that they were black and of African descent, yes, and being new, but I think that being born here now, we get more privilege on paper. Yes, we automatically get passports. Yes, we're automatically, I guess, recognised as British by the government, but I wouldn't say in everyday life that we've benefited more being here. Not at all. So my grandparents' generation, everybody got a house. Actually, both my grandparents got separate houses, so they automatically on the housing ladder. They both were eligible to drive and have driving licenses. My granddad had 2 cars, actually. And I think that in that respect, they both got great jobs with automatic pensions as well, and benefited from using the NHS. So all the things socially that we, I guess, deem as benefits now, they also received in that generation, and more so. Whereas now over here in our generation, my specific generation got priced out of the housing market before we even got to become working adults. So I do think that the benefits are very different, especially because of the housing crisis and then the cost of living crisis. So they got more benefits and more support than we do now.
Yeah, they do, because back then they were rebuilding the country.
Exactly.
So they got the benefits to encourage them
to stay and to
stay and to rebuild the countries, where now
there isn't
because it's overpopulated.
Exactly.
So there's
due
not
to
enough room.
Brexit, a lot of the people who came over here to work left. So now those who are here, who are born here, it's on us to rebuild the nation, and which is why all the taxes have gone up and why the pension age has now been pushed back another year. So all of that's happening to our generation as working adults and as the adults who now give birth to new people who are populating the country. So I would say no in that respect. I guess we suffer less racism, but I don't think that and I mean this generally, just generally we do. As somebody who grew up in the 80s, it was a melting pot. I grew up with everybody in my class. There was everybody represented in every facet of the population. But being an adult now and having gone through 3 race riots in my lifetime, I now know that there's still contention. It's just not as obvious as it was when my grandparents came here.
Growing up from 2 separate backgrounds,
Yeah.
can be a little bit challenging sometimes. Reason being I say that because you've got the Jamaican side where they believe in you have to work for what you want, you have to focus on your education and to make something of yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know about your mom's side of stuff.
There is not much difference at all. There's not much difference. We had exactly the same principles instilled in us, more so as Grenadians, especially because from Carriacou, we are the sister island of Grenada, so we're even smaller and more unrecognised. So we have to push even harder to be recognised as Carriacouians. Or as kayaks, as we say. So it was always instilled in us to get the best out of what we had and the opportunities that we did have here. We were always told that. And although I didn't grow with my dad, so I don't know my Jamaican family and I don't really know the Jamaican way of life, I know the Grenadian way of life and the kayak way of life because every summer we went back to Carriacou and we spent with our great-gran. So we lived on her farm. We got to live as the kayaks do and grow there every year. So we very much had a traditional way of life when we went back home, and then we had the British way of life when we were here. So that was our duality. It wasn't really a duality between both Caribbean heritages. I think that now also speaking to other people from different islands, it's pretty much the same, even though our island is the smallest.
That's what I was about to say, because I've interviewed quite a few people from Trinidad and I've got a few friends from Barbados and St. Kitts, St. Lucia, and I realized that we might not be from the same, but the thing they instill in us is you have to take advantage of the opportunities that you are given.
Yes.
And you have to make the most of it because nothing is going to be handed out to you. So.
But there was also a lack in the Commonwealth. All the islands didn't get equally and didn't get full stop. So because of that, being here, they're just like, take full advantage of the opportunities that you do have because you are here. You were born here, you live here, you were raised here. So anything that is given to you, make sure that you take it, make sure that you grab it with both hands and you take full advantage and you fulfill your potential.
You did say you were a teacher.
Yes.
I know sometimes being a teacher can be very challenging.
Yes.
Because sometimes you might get a little bit of oppression from probably your peers, students, parents. How do you face those challenges?
Always with a smile and with confidence. If you're confident in yourself, you will always shine and you will always change somebody else's opinion. Even if they don't want to, even if they fight you. I noticed that. I worked with a group of Asian ladies, older Asian ladies, and it's quite clear they never interacted with any Africans before, anybody of African heritage. They hadn't a clue. And they were very, very standoffish initially, didn't want to interact with me. And the more I was warm to them, the warmer they got to me. And now, even though I don't run the group anymore, I still get messages from them every week. So even today, I got messages from them. So now I've got 8 Auntie Gs just because I overlooked that. I persevered. Ultimately, if they're there to learn, I'm there to teach. And that's exactly what I'm going to do, regardless of what I look like to them. Especially considering I was the youngest person in the group and I was the teacher. And that in itself is a hurdle to jump over, to convince somebody older than you that you can teach them something new. So
it's a bit challenging when you have to face elders.
Yes.
And they think, okay, I've lived longer than you, I've
Exactly.
had more experience than you.
Exactly.
So what can you offer? So in a sense where they judge you before they
Right.
even get to know you.
So that's why I said confidence. If I wasn't confident as a teacher, knowing that my resources were great, the material was great, I know that I can teach this. I know that the way in which I'm interacting with you is effective. If I wasn't confident in that knowledge, I know I wouldn't have been able to get through to them, and I wouldn't have been able to get through any of those sessions with them either. So it makes all the difference when you are.
You also said you're a songwriter.
Yes.
I know sometimes musicians do find it difficult to pursue a career because you might find a producer who wants to work with you, and then you give one song and then he wants to go into a different direction from the way you want to go. And it's kind of difficult for artists to do that because you want to be true to yourself as much as you want a career.
Exactly.
And I've got loads of friends who are artists and they do like plays and all of that. But they find it difficult to be true to themselves because at one point you do what you want to do, and then once you make a name, then they want to change direction, which can be very difficult. How do you overcome things like that?
You have to be really, really, how can I put it? You have to know yourself to the point where it's unwavering. Nobody can push you in any direction or influence you negatively. You have to really, really, as I said, we're talking about confidence, be confident in knowing who you are in order for that not to affect you negatively. Because there are plenty of opportunities that I turned down because of my principles. And you have to be really principled and stick to those principles, but also know what will and will not. I don't know. Yeah, just exactly.
You're an actor as well. So,
right.
And you know, certain roles you might not feel comfortable doing.
As
and
an
they want to push you in that direction.
Exactly.
How do you overcome it? Because I know a few people wouldn't do certain love scenes because they feel uncomfortable doing that. But then they're going to push you, they're going to say, oh, well, this will build your career, this, you have to do this.
Yeah.
If you don't do it, we'll drop you.
Yeah.
So how do you face that?
This is something that, or conversations you have to have with yourself. What are you willing to do? What are you not willing to do? What are you willing to compromise? What are you not willing to compromise? And literally, as I said, be unwavering. Have that conversation with yourself, have that conversation with other people if needs be, and then sit with yourself and make that decision with your heart. Like, what can you really live with? What can you live with doing, and what can't you live with doing? And then knowing that it's going to be out there forever. That information, especially in the digital age we're in right now, is going to be out there forever. So do what you know you can live with. An example, I did a couple of songs with a producer from France called Doc TMK, and he was starting to work with a film producer in the States, and he heard the songs that we did together, and he wanted me to do the soundtrack. And I was like, great, awesome, fantastic, until he gave me the spec of the film. And the film was, I think it was like a documentary of a pimp. I was like, what? I thought he was joking, first of all. And then he was like, no, we're going to do like the life and times of a pimp, like this pimp's story. And I was like, that goes against every principle I have, because I'm a self-respecting woman. Why would I then give you a soundtrack from me or a song for the soundtrack that disempowers women and disrespects women and only literally empowers the patriarchy? I was like, I'm not comfortable with that at all. But I knew that if I gave him a song, it would catapult my career, because it would be in a movie soundtrack, first and foremost. Second of all, this movie would be released in the States. So I'd get loads and loads of promo and opportunities. And I was like, what do I do? Do I make a compromise at all? Do I give him a song anyway? Or do I just say no because it's against everything that I actually believe in?
And you said no.
And I said no.
A lot of people would look at it and it's like, it's just a song.
Exactly.
But
that's also the start of how you then compromise all of who you are.
Because me per se, if you did do the song and you did make it bigger than what you are now,
yeah,
you'll be opening doors
exactly
to stuff that you're not comfortable with.
Right.
Because a lot of people don't look at it in a sense where if you can sell your integrity once,
and that's
you
exactly
can do it
the
again.
point. Exactly. So everybody then knows you've got a price. There's a certain price that you're willing to pay. And what is that price? And that's what every artist needs to be able to know and have that conversation with themselves, so that they know, what am I really willing to do for this fame? What am I really willing to do for this opportunity? And so you have to be like iron in yourself. You have to 100% know, okay, well, I'm willing to do this, that, the other in order to get there. There's certain things that I am willing to do. But then you have to know what line you're not willing to cross. And so even though it was on a very minor level, that was like the first test. What am I really, really willing to compromise in order to break America? Because that's technically what it was an opportunity to break America.
So you wouldn't be sitting on the fence?
No, because I wasn't comfortable with it anyway.
Because a lot of people say just sitting on the fence
right
will be beneficial.
Exactly.
But then again,
that's the same. It's the
which
same.
Which way
as,
you're gonna tilt?
Right, exactly.
If you're just sitting on the fence, where you're
but
in
you
the
can't
middle,
always sit on the fence.
Exactly. And growing up, sometimes they say, yeah, you can sit on the fence, but what happened to when a heavy wind blow?
Right.
Which
way you're gonna fall? Exactly.
And then you would say, because growing up, they used to say that, okay, you can sit on the fence, but a heavy wind blow, and I'll be like, if the wind blows to the right, which is not good, I'm gonna go to the right because I'll be tilted that way.
Mm-hmm.
So if it blows to the left, you get tilted to the left.
That is it.
So the best way not to tilt the wrong direction is not sitting on the fence.
Yes. Make your own decision already.
So that's what you did.
Yeah, and that's what I did. So I had to
no
make
fence
sure.
Sitting.
No fence sitting, no line stepping. So I had to literally talk to myself. I had to have that conversation. Is this something that you're willing to put your name to forever? Because that's going to be a movie. The credits are going to roll. They're going to hear my voice and then see my name. Is that something I'm willing to have on my CV, have in my life, and then be comfortable receiving the money and any revenue from it? Because that's what it is. What are you, because you're buying and selling parts of yourself when you're an artist. It's not just something that's just external. It's still part of you and who you are. It represents you. So that is also very important. Who are you selling to? What part of yourself you're selling? And then how much are you willing to sell it for? These are conversations you have to have with yourself as an artist before you even do anything of significance, because once you declare yourself as an artist to the world, these are the questions that are going to be posed to you. How much am I? That's it. That's what's going to happen next. How much are you selling your product for? How much are you going to sell that part of yourself for? And are you comfortable parting with that part of yourself for money as well? These are conversations that you have to have with yourself. Not just be confident enough to shine in front of a camera or shine on stage, because you have to have a business mind, because you're selling something, and also you have to just be a creative as well.
Coming back to being a teacher, what do you really teach?
I'm a singing teacher. I'm a music teacher in general. So I teach basic music courses as well as specializing in voice
Training. It's a bit funny to ask this question, but as a music teacher,
yes,
have you ever get students where you're like, how do you tell them that this is not for them?
Oh, right, okay. Yes. The most awkward part of teaching. So the thing is, the very awkward thing about teaching singing specifically is the fact that your instrument is not external of your body. So everybody assumes they can sing because everybody has a voice, whereas that's not always the case, as we know. Yeah, so as a teacher, you cannot teach somebody to hear they are wrong. You can only, I can play you a chord on the piano, or I can sing you a note and I can say, sing it back to me. But I can't teach you how to hear that note and sing it back to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So because that's part of the process I can't teach you, it's something you have to do for yourself. And yes, there are people who have taught themselves how to pitch correctly, even though they're technically tone deaf. That's why they call it tone deaf, because there's nothing wrong with your ears. Your ear's structured in exactly the same way my ear is structured. The difference is you can't hear the vibration and mimic it. That's the difference. So it's just the processing of the sound. That's the problem. So most voice teachers will never tell somebody who is tone deaf that you just can't sing, because that's not what's actually happening. They just cannot hear it and sing it back to you. So they have to do it for themselves. So they have to practice pitching for themselves, because it's something they have to learn. So sitting down with any instrument, playing the note, singing it back, that's the only thing that they can do to learn how to pitch correctly. So it's not that we say you can't sing. That's not, no singing teacher's ever going to say that to you. But they're going to tell you and give you advice on how to become better singers. And that's what we do.
There must be one that it doesn't matter how you try teaching them.
It could be really, really tough, because
because you don't know how to say to them, I'm sorry, but it's just like any profession. It's not everything suits.
Yes.
You'll be suitable for.
Of course.
And it's not everyone can be a singer.
Yes.
So as you say, it's very difficult for you to say to someone, I'm sorry, but this is not for you.
You can explain to them what's happening, and you can explain to them how they can improve. and then they have to do the work for themselves. And then once that they improve on that, they can always come back and have more extensive and challenging singing lessons. But it doesn't stop them from having singing lessons still. You can still have your singing lessons. It will just be more challenging for them because of the pitching issue.
As a role model, and you probably mentor people as well.
Yes.
How do you find it being a mentor, and what advices do you give the younger generation who wants to inspire to do exactly what you're doing?
I always tell them first and foremost to be themselves. As we've just had the conversation, it's always about being yourself first and foremost. Especially with like my teenagers, I'll always tell them, yes, I love the fact that you love Olivia Rodriguez, for example. Love the fact that you love Adele. Love your song choices, but I don't want you to sing and sound like them. It's time for you to now develop your own sound.
Yeah,
and your
because
own
I've noticed most of these upcoming artists, they sound the same. Back in when we were growing up, you could listen to a song and you could tell who's singing it
straight away.
But nowadays, you listen to a song and you'll be like, is it? No, you have to be thinking who is really singing the song, and you have to look it up to know exactly which artist it is.
Right.
So how do you encourage your students and that you're mentoring as well to be themselves? Because it's going to be quite difficult.
The great thing is, because they're already singing me the songs of their idols already, I can hear that they sound like their idols. So I break it all the way down from warm-ups. If we're just singing notes, I want you to sing the note how you sing the note. Just sing me the note, make the sound. And then I want them to apply that to the song that they're singing. So I always tell them, I'll stop them midway through the song and I'll tell them, and now I want you to sing it like you. I don't want you to sound like her. I don't want you to sound like him. I want you to sound like yourself. Just sing the song. And then once they do, and they relax, because if they're comfortable with their teacher, they can relax enough to be themselves. And that is the key. Once you have that connection with your child, that is everything that they need to be themselves. They're already comfortable enough to be themselves. And that is the key. And then they always do it. They'll always just sing the song as themselves first. And then once they hear the difference and they hear their own voices, just them, it gives them the confidence to do it more.
And then sometimes it might be challenging because they might be used to singing,
of course, in that way, right?
And then you'll be like, no, I want you, and they'll be like, nah, I don't want to do that. I want.
So
to
always
be
give
more
them
like
songs
that
they don't know. Give them a challenge because it's something that's new to them, and if I sing it to them, the only reference they have is me. And then they can sing it straight back to me. So always give them like a little warm-up song or a challenge, something that they've never heard before. You sing it to me, just like how I sang it to you. Sound like yourself.
Because it will be difficult for them to know if it's an A flat or B flat, which tone to sing it in, because they've never heard it before.
Exactly.
And they've never heard that artist. Where to sing like Adele, you know where to go high, where to go low.
But also her timbre, her tone, everything is her. So you can hear her voice and you know exactly that's Adele that's singing. And they start mimicking that. So I don't want them to mimic that. So I always stop them mid-song if that's what's happening. If not, then I'll just let them continue, because then they're building their confidence as their own person.
But they will never be true to themselves as an artist, because they were just copying.
So that's why I always stop them anytime they are copying. I don't want you to mimic that singer. I want you to sound like you. So I will give them warm-ups where they sound like themselves. I will give them another song that they've never heard before, and I'll sing it to them and get them to sing it back to me, because I don't sound like Bob Marley, but I could give them a Bob Marley song and sing it a cappella and they won't know what it is. They're just singing me back the song. And once they learn it, specifically Wings of a Dove is my song that I always challenge them with, Bob Marley. They'll learn it, they'll sing it, sound great, and then I'll play them the original and they'll be like, can't actually fathom it's the same song because it's a rock steady, it's a little ska song. And then we've sung it a cappella and they might sing it in a soul way because they're soulful singers. They might be indie singers and have an indie slant to it. So then they just sing what's in their hearts as opposed to sounding like Bob Marley or sounding like Miss Simon. They just start singing themselves.
And that kind of build their confidence a bit more.
Even more.
Because they get used to their own voice now.
Exactly. And everybody hates hearing their own voices.
Yeah. It kind of depends because when you're singing someone's song, it's kind of pushing you a bit more to copy them perfectly.
Yes.
Then when you're doing something for yourself, you lack that confidence and that motivation to do things.
Yes.
On your own.
But that's why it's always good to have a teacher, because your teacher will always encourage you, well, a good teacher will always encourage you to rise to those challenges.
Encourage all students, not just...
Yeah, exactly. Not just the one who's already gifted and talented. That's great that you've got excellent pitch and you're already a natural musician, but everybody is still there to learn. So everybody has something to learn.
Okay, I'll ask you this as a teacher. I did ask it because I interviewed a teacher before.
Yeah.
And I'll ask you this. How do you approach the ones who are a little bit more challenging? Reason why I say that. If you've got a student which is straight A's, per se, and they don't need that much focus than a student who's always getting F. But I know sometimes as teachers, they want you to focus more on the ones who are the A's than the F.
Yeah.
Because they could be just, not really say brush under the carpet, but they won't really put the school in a light per se.
I understand.
How do you navigate through that?
I kind of have an advantage because I'm a music teacher, and at GCSE level, they sign up for music, they opt for it. So it's something that they already want to do. So that desire is already there. I don't have to instill that in them. So my students will always come to their lessons. They always work really hard in their lessons. But as you said, if there's anybody who isn't as hardworking or dedicated, the easiest thing to do when it comes to the more challenging musical students is set them really attainable targets. And then once they have that sense of achievement, they will always come back and work harder. And that applies to every subject, but specifically it's easier for music teachers because they've already shown that want to learn. But if it is lacking in any way, set attainable targets and always celebrate their achievements. That's how I get through to them.
The reason why I asked that question, I know some parents want to push their kids in a direction that is not really for them.
Yeah.
But they'll be like, oh, this is my... Sometimes parents instill their own dreams
on their children.
Instead of letting their kids find their own way.
Yeah.
Me as a mom, I guide all I do, whatever my kids want to do.
Yeah. You'll let them.
They can do it, and I'll be the biggest supporter.
Yes.
If they fail at it, I'm not gonna say, oh, you're worthless. I'll say, okay, what else do you want to do?
Yes, exactly.
So how do you help students?
That's exactly
this is not what they want to do, but their parents are pushing them to do it.
That's what I do with them. I will always ask them, what do they want to do? And then go through exactly the same process you just did. And if I can help them change instruments or change subjects, that's exactly what I do. And I've done it. I've done it recently in the last couple of months. 2 of my students said that they wanted to change instruments, not because they didn't want to learn the instrument, but because they didn't actually like their teacher. The irony. So I made sure I went to the head of music, went to the right person that could actually do something about it. That makes all the difference. When you are championing for your child, that not only heightens the respect with that child, it reinforces that connection.
So how do you face the parents? Because parents sometimes can
Yes.
be really challenging. Like, this is what I want my child to do. You're just there to teach. You're not there to make the decision.
But
at the end of the day, being a teacher
Yeah.
is like being a parent as well,
Mhm.
because you've
Because
got
you're a
you've
local
got the
parentis.
kids there for a certain time,
Yeah.
and then they just go home, and
Yes.
you have, so you're more like the second parent
You
than
are,
a
definitely.
teacher. So how do you face the challenges
So
with
with the parents, it is about being diplomatic. It really is. We have to be a little bit of everything. And politics to politicians as well. Because you have to be able to communicate effectively, but also not offend. And you also have to be considerate of where this parent's coming from. It might be a financial thing. In actual fact, we can't afford the lessons for the other instrument, but we can afford this. So we're giving them this opportunity that we can. So it is about communication. Effective communication makes all the difference. You have to be as diplomatic as possible in order to resolve any issues. It is like being a diplomat, actually. So yeah, so you have to be able to keep the parents happy and keep the children as happy as possible.
Have you ever had any challenging parents?
Of course. But the great thing is, because I am a class teacher, there's always a teacher above me that liaises with the parents. So I teach for a music service. So I have a line manager, deputy manager, and a boss. And then in school, we have the head of the music department, then the deputy head teacher, then the head teacher. So there's always at least 3 other people that can speak to difficult parents on my behalf if they're really disgruntled. And that has never happened to me. So everything's been okay, exactly. So I've been protected in that way. But yeah, it's been nice because you always feel supported as a teacher as well.
Coming back to being a musician, songwriter, and actor, what advice would you give the younger generation who wants to go down that route?
I would say to do it, particularly because we're in the digital age. You are already what you want to be. If you say online on your social media, I am a singer-songwriter, everyone's going to believe you. Nobody's going to doubt that that's who you are. So already, you can already step into the power of being that person and acting as if, which is great. You can also sell anything musically, even your art online independently. There are independent record labels, there are independent artistic labels, there are so many different avenues that you can get your art accessible through just by being online. So once you have a phone and you can get online and you can get on the internet, then you are already the artist you want to be. I know the next steps are then getting an agent or getting representation or getting those opportunities. That comes through the confidence first of all, and then doing the work. Finding out where I can go and showcase my music. Finding out if there's a local drama group that you can join, or if there's a stage show that you can join. So these things then go from being online and acting as if to actually being, because you're physically going to do the work. You're going to find an opportunity, but you have to do that work first and foremost, because nobody's just going to ask you to do it just because you said you were a singer today, or you said that you're an actor and you want to build your CV. That's all great, but you do have to still do the old school legwork of finding a connection, finding that contact, contacting that person, and then putting your name forward for opportunities. But also knowing you might not get picked for those opportunities, and being able to dust yourself off and say, okay, I'm going to go for the next one anyway.
As a teacher, what advice would you give anyone who wants to be a music teacher?
Once you have finished your learning, then I'd say the easiest way, you could either do your PGCE and go straight into teaching full-time in schools, or if you want to be a peripatetic teacher, which I am, you go to different schools. You can join music services in any borough. So there are boroughs around the UK, not just in London, music service boroughs. You can sign up as a music tutor and then physically go into schools that way. Or, just like we were talking about utilising the internet, there are loads of online teaching hubs as well as academies that you could join, or do it yourself, DIY it, and promote yourself as an online tutor. Put all your rates up, and then literally just keep promoting yourself online through your social media, and then be a freelance teacher. So I do a bit of both. So I'm a freelance teacher and I'm a peripatetic teacher. So I go into schools, and right now I teach in 5 different schools.
Do you enjoy it?
I love teaching. I know that it's a vocation, and if to be a really effective teacher, you have to know in your heart that it's your calling. It's a vocation, it's not a job. It's not just something that you draw a paycheck from because I need money and I need to pay my taxes and I need to pay my rent. It's not even about that. If it's in your heart to do it, then do it. If it's not in your heart to do it, then do not go anywhere near a school or anybody else's children. That's what I would say.
So basically you're saying any job you're doing, you have to do it because you love it, not because you have to. Like me, for say,
Yeah.
I enjoy working with people.
Yes.
I do mental health nursing.
Yes.
I've done many different jobs, but I enjoy working with people.
Yes.
I enjoy it. I love a challenge.
Yeah.
And doing certain job where you don't know what tomorrow is going to be.
Exactly.
Just like being a teacher.
Right.
You don't know when you go into your class or when you go to somewhere else what challenges you're going to face.
Yeah.
So that's what drives you mostly, is the
Exactly.
challenges that you're facing,
Yeah.
and knowing that every day is different.
Yeah. And I would say you're absolutely right. Whatever your job is, you have to love it in order to be effective, but also not to get yourself down. Do you know what I mean? There's so many people that you might call on the phone and you hear that they don't want to be there. Get a different job. Your job should not be speaking to people if you don't want to do it. It's very, very obvious when you interact with somebody and they don't like what they do. So I would say yes, for any job, definitely make sure you love it. But when it's a job where you have to care for people, where it's the development of another human being, be that nursing, be that teaching, it could be ambulance service, anything that is effective to another human, then make sure you love it, that it's in your heart to do, because that is going to affect how everybody else sees you and interacts with you as well. That also becomes part of who you are, your identity. So these are things that you have to really consider before you get into doing it. It's not just a job, it's a vocation. Caring for somebody is a vocation. That's not just something you do just because you want money today. So I think that is something that most people need to really, really be mindful of when it comes to choosing their professions, not just what I'm good at. So yeah, I would say consider it carefully.
It's not what you do, it's how you do it.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Anybody can be a teacher.
Anybody.
But no one can do it really well.
Right.
Unless you want to do it. Because
Yes.
I've realized nowadays that most people that you come across, by just looking at them, you can say, nah.
Yeah, you can tell.
Because
Just from the energy, you can tell if they want to
as
be
you
there,
said,
if they're
you could
happy.
hear on the phone, because they say if you answer your phone call with a smile
Yes.
and happy thoughts,
Yes.
you can tell that that person
Yes,
is
it's actually true.
in a good mood.
Especially when you're recording as well. I noticed that. I was told when I was recording my first album, I was recording something. I can't remember the song, but I was told smile when you sing it, because they'll be able to hear that you're happy. And I was like, what? And when I did
Because
it actually made all the difference.
They always say the best way to get certain songs out is the emotion.
Yes,
that's
exactly. Right.
Because if you're singing a love song, say a happy one, and you think happy thoughts, you could tell that that person is genuinely in love.
You can.
And if you're singing a breakup song,
right,
you'd be like, oh yeah, she really had a heartbreak.
Right. So all of that is connected. So your voice conveys all of that, even if you're just speaking on the phone. So that is really, really important. Choose wisely. Like, choose whatever you're going to do very, very wisely, because it's a reflection of you too. So, yeah.
Okay, Faye, thank you so much for taking the time.
You're very welcome.
To with me, and I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Cheers.